My name's Jeremy Fleming. This is my wife Tabitha Fleming. We live in Sydney here with 3 kids. We own a company called Stage Kings, and we build stages and structures for events like music festivals and concerts and things like that. I was in Melbourne. We'd had a couple of projects down there, and I was on site at the Formula One, getting ready for the World Tour stage down there. And it was that morning, just as the gates were opening for the Formula One, that the Prime Minister came out and put a ban on all public gatherings over 500 people, and that's what we do. So within 1 week, it was 100% of our income. So it was like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Are you having John honey sandwich?
It was really quite devastating to think that we could lose everything that we'd worked hard for, and not just the business, and that we'd affected so many people that we had to lose our staff and we could lose our home.
We had the idea to make work from home furniture. We're getting calls all over the world to deliver this stuff. So we've had a couple of dozen calls from New York, Europe, Singapore wants a lot. Everything we're hearing is people want Australian made and Australian manufactured. I think that Australian manufacturing is really going to come back in a big way after this.
Pivoting has certainly become one of the coronavirus buzzwords. It's allowed some businesses that would have otherwise gone bust to innovate and thrive. While it's been a long time since Australian manufacturing really contributed much to overall GDP, the interest in Australian products appears to have spiked post-coronavirus. Data shared exclusively from Australian Made shows their website, a directory for Aussie businesses, not only spiked after coronavirus hit, but continues to grow month on month as the nation focuses on our own recovery. Greg Combe is chair of Industry Super Australia and IFM Investors, and a former Labor minister.
There will be permanent shifts. One of the obvious issues is the extent to which Australia has security in the supply of goods and services. Do we have the supply of surgical masks that we need? Do we have the ventilators that we need? Do we have surgical gloves available? There's none manufactured in Australia. What's the security of our supply chains?
Economist Ross Garnaut believes supply concerns aside, being plugged into global markets is still our strongest option.
We kept open our mining industry, our agricultural industries. They're industries that depend on globalisation, depend on global markets, and they've kept going. But in any recession, there's a tendency to pull back from globalisation. If we do that, we'll be poorer.
Third-generation farmer Emma Germano manages her family's vegetable and livestock farm in South Gippsland, Victoria. Her farm gate sales have spiked during coronavirus.
My grandparents migrated from Italy. My grandfather purchased the farm towards the end of the 40s. We have sheep and cattle, and we also grow cauliflowers and potatoes. I get the opportunity to speak to many different farmers who grow many different things. The overwhelming sentiment from the farmers at the moment is one of confidence. We're feeling like rock stars at the moment. People all of a sudden started to care about where their food comes from. Agriculture as a sector has a really important role to play in growing the Australian economy, particularly on the back of coronavirus. We are food secure, and there could be nothing more important. Everybody is aware of the fact that changes happen rapidly and that we don't quite know what to expect or what's going to come next, but there is a sense of confidence and security in the fact that we are a resilient industry and we're a resilient bunch. We've seen drought and bushfire, and coronavirus is another storm to weather.
The Managing Director of Bendigo and Adelaide Bank, Marnie Baker, hopes the working from home trend might stick around after the coronavirus and could be a boost for regional Australia.
Being a regional based school myself, there's some real advantages now where you're not restricted to having to, live where you work. You can actually live where you love. And I think the coronavirus actually showed that we had an inherent weakness in having 40% of our population in two cities.
Australia is also continuing to emerge as a leader in still developing industries. Melbourne-based biotech company Star Pharma are racing to get a product to market that they hope is good for business but will help save lives. A lot of the company's share prices, yours included, have been going up on the basis of, potential profits in the future.
Well, what it has done is it's actually created a significant new market that didn't exist before the outbreak.
And do you think that we can get back to normal, life can get back to normal until we get a vaccine?
I think that with a vaccine, that would be, give people the greatest level of confidence. Whilst we wait for vaccines, it'll be important to have other methods of protection. We have an antiviral that we know has been active against a range of viruses like HIV and human papillomavirus and Zika virus historically. When the coronavirus outbreak occurred, we tested it against the SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus, and we were delighted to see that it's highly active against that virus as well.
When you say it's active, what do you mean? That it kills it?
Yes.
It's likely the antiviral nasal spray, a preventative for coronavirus, won't need clinical trials as the active ingredient has already been approved in other products in more than 30 countries.
So this is our chemistry lab here. We have around 12 chemists working here synthesising new molecules. We think that for some markets we could potentially have an approval and potentially be on the market inside of 12 months, which we expect would be faster than a vaccine.
There's no doubt the pandemic has been an economic disaster. Unemployment is officially at a 19-year high, but Roy Morgan estimates true levels are much higher, and the OECD predicts the most severe fall in global GDP since the Great Depression. But there have been some winners as the country is forced to innovate, particularly in tech and online retail. The question now is, what will recovery look like and how long will it take? Growth is expected to take at least a couple of years to get back to what it was. Employment typically takes much longer. After the 1991 recession, it took 7 years for unemployment to get back below 8%.
It's a big challenge, but also an opportunity to reset, to think again about how we do a number of things and to make sure that we come out of it in a way that sets us up for a better future.
I've been in the business for 30 years and the coronavirus will be the worst trough I've ever known. I'm just hoping we'll come out the other side.
Coronavirus has imposed enormous hardship on millions of Australians. On the positive side, it's also drawn our governments together and drawn our community together.
We've gone through an experiment that's never been tried before. The experiment is, can a government close its own economy? The critical question is whether we can bounce out of this with a leaner, more flexible and more productive economy.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.